what we need, or what we try to do here is, make the best AI models for transcription available to end users in education. And we've been running this with Whisper from OpenAI since a few months after the open source model was released. But we saw huge improvements when the National Library released their model recently, and when we were able to make it available to our users. So this is something that we have developed for ourselves initially, but also that we make available to other, initially universities, but also other institutions in the higher education sector in Norway, and possibly also other non-commercial institutions. It's a little bit maybe unclear where the limits are, but there are some limitations since we use our research infrastructure and so on, and who we can make it available to. But generally, most public institutions in Norway can use this. So I am in a fairly remote location, so if things stutter a little bit, then please bear with me. That shouldn't take too many seconds. So Autotekst is, for users, in many cases, the best solution for Norwegian speech to text. And it's based on Whisper, and for Norwegian on the customized models from the National Library. We make it available through a web application at autotekst.uio.no, where all users at the institution, so students and employees, can upload media to get it transcribed. And we also have an integration with the most common video management system used in higher education in Norway, which is Panopto, where it's a transcription service, so you can either set it to go automatically or order transcriptions through Panopto. We also have a large-scale web-based survey tool, which has recording apps and so on, and with automatic transcription support. So this has been available since early 23, just after New Year, and we were able to launch the new models in April. We have about 30 customer institutions, about half as many for the Panopto integration, and we have fairly large volumes. So altogether, I mean, we're probably between 50 and 60,000 hours of transcription so far. And we have had some interest from Denmark, Sweden, Finland, so we are considering whether to make it available there as well. As mentioned, the goal is to we don't, for now at least, train models, but we aim to make them available for end users, so they don't have to download them, but they can just, I mean, as hassle-free as possible. So this is used a large amount of the material is lecture capture, but there are many other types that are important to universities as well. It's also used for these research questionnaires and so on that I mentioned earlier. The new models from the National Library of Norway really helped with Norwegian dialects, and especially maybe for users who want to use the nynorsk written form of Norwegian. They were in quite a few cases getting Swedish, and we're not too happy about that. But they are much more happy with this current version. It's a goal for us to leverage our research infrastructure. So the way we do things is probably a bit different from what a more commercial system would be, because we have research computers, supercomputers, big and small, with different levels of availability. So we use it the way they are generally used, which includes using Slurm GPU scheduling. And we always run the largest models, which helps with accuracy. And it's important for end users that this is just available with as little extra effort as possible. So a good user experience, good performance, so they get their transcriptions back. And this is different from downloading models, because this is just, upload your file and you're done, or get it automatically in your VMS. One thing we've needed to do is automatically insert a disclaimer, so that in cases where nobody has actually viewed the transcription before it hits students, for instance, there is a disclaimer that this was done with so-and-so model and by an AI system and may contain errors. I think it's also a takeaway that now people, educators and others who need transcriptions, they have to, in some cases, make a manual selection. They need to choose to get the best possible results. For instance, this National Library Whisper verbatim model is quite useful sometimes. And depending on which language you have, you should choose a different model. So this will just get more complicated as more models that are trained on different types of data become available. So this is what it looks like. You upload your files. You can choose whether you want to use language detection or decide a language. Choose models, whether you want diarization, so speaker 1, speaker 2, and so on, whether you want your transcription translated to English. Then it's queued and handled normally quite quickly. And when it's done, you can download the files, or you can see a preview of the transcription in the system. So here's an example of the disclaimer where it says, this is in Norwegian, but it basically says automatically transcribed by Autotekst with and the whisper verbatim may contain errors. So we always add that at the beginning, and then if people manually correct it, they can just remove it. That's always in the first text block. Since we introduced the new models, this isn't completely updated, but we have quite a lot of usage of the Norwegian, or the National Library semantic model, which is the default for Norwegian. We have some usage of the verbatim one. And then for other languages, we recommend the latest one from OpenAI. So our current architecture is based on a medium-sized supercomputer cluster, not in any world list, but big enough for this, not for training probably. But the way these research supercomputers are used is fairly standardized, so it's quite easy once you do it in this way to move it around. Our current plans are, we need to, as a load increases, we have some things we need to improve, but the main thing we would like to do is improve automatic language detection so that we can do it before the automatic choice of model, because currently it's done in the same process pipeline. So basically you have to choose the model, and if you are not using, if you're not speaking Norwegian, you don't really want to use, for instance, the Norwegian National Library models. So we will probably change that again to make things as hassle-free as possible and make things work without any human intervention, really, in as many cases as possible. Because these models are now, even for Norwegian, before Whisper, it was pretty hopeless, actually. You had to do a lot of work to improve and manually correct things. But now, in quite many cases, it's good enough to be used, or at least it's an aid without any manual correction. And then making it just happen instead of requiring people to to do steps manually is quite important. Yeah, that's what I have. And we would be interested in hearing more about models for other Nordic languages. Of course, we heard something about Swedish now. If there are large-scale efforts that anyone knows about for Danish or Finnish, for instance, it would be great to hear about it. I think that's what I have for now.